Gameweek23 stream. Myself and Holly are just setting up our sound, so 2 seconds, bear with me. It's should be good for Holly to speak now. How are you doing, Holly?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I mean, it's been another interesting week, hasn't it? Lots of new fixture announcements just to confuse us even more if we weren't confused enough already.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, like double gaming. Well, I had a rough idea it was coming, but I also, when I saw that tweet, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Liverpool and Wolves. But yeah, I think my head hadn't quite got around the fact that that would also be Arsenal as well. So now my brain's just a little bit kind of mushed from all the kind of double game weeks that have suddenly been thrown in everywhere. And I'm kind of, I guess like everyone else, it's like, do we need Salah? Don't we need Salah? Which Arsenal assets do we have? So we've got plenty of questions to be getting through this week. And I can see we've got quite a few people in the chat already, so that's great. Hi guys, I'll just quickly run through a few. Focus, welcome. Mod, welcome. Junkie, welcome. Wayne, Fella, hope you're all good. Do get those questions in the chat for us. But we will now be heading over to our screen and going into the questions that we have on Twitter, which you can find at FPL Nim, and there will be a post there and you can stick any questions underneath if it's kind of team related. Otherwise, if it's just a general question, you can chuck it in the chat and that's all good too. Okay, Holly. So, I mean, this is going to be a bit of a minefield, but we'll do what we can with it. We'll do what we can. Let me just scroll down to the bottom and see what we've got from peeps. So we've got this one from Gareth. It's a team specific one. And he says, should I sell Shaw this week for City defender or just roll the free transfer? So what's your thoughts on that, Holly?
I mean, City defence is a little bit of a minefield right now. I think if you was going with any of them, I'd go with Ake, but I don't know whether I'd want to lose Shaw necessarily to get Ake in this week. I think we've got to look at the bigger picture now. So it's whether you want a City defender in the long term is the big question. I know United have got another couple of nice fixtures before they blank in 25, but then you're probably not going to want to start Shaw this week anyway. I'm looking at his team now, and you know, Darwin Núñez is on the bench. It's a bit of a tricky bench headache again for us this week. So if Shaw is going to be the 11th man in your squad for this week, and you want to improve him for this week by getting in a player that doubles, and you want to stay on City defence long term, then I think it's fine to make the move for Ake. But there isn't like a right or wrong answer for a lot of dilemmas this week. So it's about looking at that bigger picture all the time.
Yeah, so I have Ake, and I'm still not entirely sure that he's nailed, if I'm completely honest. Like, it just feels like every week Pep is tinkering with that defence. So as somebody who's already with Ake, I couldn't tell you in confidence just to buy him straight away. I mean, you do have Shaw this week, and you've already got quite a nice lineup with the Arsenal lads. It's chasing that double, isn't it? It's whether to chase the extra double game week player. With Darwin Núñez on the bench, I mean, you've lucked out there a little bit with that Liverpool double game week, which is quite nice. But yeah, I guess you could if you really wanted an extra double game week player, but there's no guarantee that he'll actually play both games. So you may be better just rolling the transfer, Gareth, and you know, being able to make your transfers respectively down the line. But if you wanted to go for it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it this week. Cool. Okay, so that was Gaz's. Thank you for that, Gareth. We have one from Fobino, and he says, now this is probably the crux of most of the questions for most people this week, and I know that Carrie says this is my question also, Vob. He says, what's the best Arsenal triple for game week 23 and 25 combined? How nailed is White and Tomiyasu waiting in the wings? And is it worth taking hits to remove White for an attacking triplet? So I guess I'm the Arsenal person and should kind of delve in a little bit first on this one. For me, it's really difficult, as you guys won't be surprised to hear. There's a tough decision for myself to make because I'm on Martinelli and I kind of given him a lot of time, more than I probably would have done in the past. So he's probably going to go for me this week. If you can get to the Arsenal triple up in attack, knowing that they have 2 double game weeks easily, there's a bit of me that thinks, do it. Just go for it, because you'd like to think if you're going for a Saka, an Odegaard and an Nketiah, that those players are going to be nailed. My slight concern with White is that he has not looked right since he's come back from the World Cup. And as Vob says, Tomiyasu is waiting in the wings. So I could see, and I did say this in my video this week, I could see a benching for White coming soon, or some sort of rotation, whether it's another half-time switch for Arteta. That's a little bit worrying, being on White. However, they are home fixtures, and there is a potential maybe for a clean sheet amongst the way, and you are using up a transfer potentially. Love to get Holly's thoughts on this before I kind of chat a little further on it.
Yeah, so I think it does depend on who you own already. I think that's a big factor, because Nketiah for me now is on a bit of a hold him if you've got him, but potentially don't buy this week, because at some point Gabriel Jesus is going to be back. The Arsenal players that we have now, ideally we want to keep them all the way through to blank game week 28 and beyond. So if you're, obviously if he was on a wild card or a free hit this week, I think it would be easy to say go Odegaard, Saka and Gabriel. That would be my 3, because Gabriel carries the most goal threat of the defenders. We've seen the fullbacks prone to some early substitutions, not always after that 60-minute mark. Odegaard's the one that is the consistent performer, that's got the explosiveness. And then, Saka provides a lot of security and he's on pens as well. But if you've got Nketiah, then I would absolutely hold on to him. I think Martinelli has to go now, whether that be to bring in Odegaard or Saka. If you don't own either, I think Martinelli to Odegaard is the way to go. If you've got one already, then bring in another one. In terms of Arsenal defenders, that's a bit trickier, because I can see why someone with White maybe wants to get rid. I can see how someone with any Arsenal defender would be looking maybe to go for the triple up in attack. It does carry a lot of appeal, but then you need to then look at the bigger picture of what's right for your team in terms of other transfers you need to make for other players, as we look to focus on the doubles and the blanks going forward. So I think probably switching from an Arsenal defender to triple Arsenal attacks, probably the more luxury of moves at the moment. And Nketiah, hold him if you've got him. Martinelli, sell for another midfielder.
So I went with Nketiah last week after our stream, Holly, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking I've totally snookered myself, because I could have very easily moved Andreas onto one of the Arsenal midfielders this week and gone 5 in midfield. But I was, I guess, a little bit not swayed, I guess more swayed generally, because of seeing all of the data that he was matching, Haaland for all of his stats and things like that. And I think part of me was like, oh, it's Everton, they're got a new manager, they won't be brilliant this week. Now's the time to get on Nketiah. And so I did that, and I do feel like I have snookered myself a little bit by going for him, because now it's quite a difficult situation. It's not that I can't get Odegaard for Andreas any more easily. Monetary wise, I can do it in a heartbeat, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people in this boat as well. It's more the fact that if I buy him, I then have 7, attacking players, and of which I wouldn't know who to drop for the week. So that's kind of where I've snookered myself rather than, the actual players themselves. But you're right. I think my move this week will be to move Martinelli to Odegaard or Saka, because they are one of those is one of the ones you will want long term, definitely, from Arsenal. So I think if the hit this week is going to mean that you're getting in an Arsenal player that you're going to feel more confident in the next few game weeks ahead, then I don't hate it, because you've got a double game week and then you potentially got another double game week down the line. Obviously, that's the caveat to anything happening to any of those players. Odegaard did pick up a bit of a knock in the last game. So what that means for him and whether he'll be kind of looked after, let's say, in some of these 2 very close matches together, there's a potential with that. We'll have to wait for Arteta's presser on that one. I hope he gives us a bit of indication. But yeah, I don't hate getting off of Arsenal defence to go with the triple attack. But as Holly says, it is a luxury move this week, I feel. Cool. Okay, we'll move on then. So we have this one from Marcus, Champ-elect, FPL. Hi, Nim and Holly, currently thinking of this for double game week 23. White to Gabriel, Martinelli to Odegaard as his 2 free transfers, and then Fernandes to De Bruyne. Is it worth the -4 hit, or should I just make the 2 free transfers and not take the hit? So Holly, you were very firmly on the Bruno in last week for KDB and then back again. Where are you sitting on that whole situation now?
Well, I'd already got to thinking that bringing in Mahrez, especially if it means not selling Bruno Fernandes, was going to be the optimal route back into the Man City midfield. And I still feel that way, especially now that Bruno Fernandes is on penalties for Manchester United. That just adds that extra layer of dynamic in there that makes me think selling Bruno would be very short-sighted. Like, we know how prolific an asset has been in FPL in the past. We haven't seen it in 18 months because the Ronaldo era really changed things. But before that, he was averaging an attacking return every game. And since the restart, we've seen that form from him once again. And being back on penalties is a massive factor in there. So I'm really trying to discourage anyone from selling Bruno Fernandes, because right now you could kind of see him like a Haaland or a Kane in your squad right now, as a player that you could conceivably own for the rest of the season. I think his ownership is just going to go up and up and up. So it's a case of not selling very good FPL assets just because another player's got a double game week. I think you need to try and find another route in there. But it's not even essential to triple up on Man City assets this week. The appeal of that kind of diminished after the result against Spurs. Yeah. And since we've got these other doubles announced, the focus of City assets in double game week 23 is even weaker, especially with Arsenal away being such a tricky fixture for them and their away form right now. So I also feel like White to Gabriel is a little bit of a luxury move at the moment. Again, you can get blindsided by looking at, what moves that everyone else is making, who people are saying they're the best Arsenal players. Because yes, Gabriel is a lot better than White, but is Gabriel going to outscore White by 4 points over this next double game week, or even the next 3 game weeks where they play 5
You're
fixtures?
kind of hoping for a bullet header there, aren't you?
Yeah,
really?
Potentially, but White's capable of an attacking return as well, and unless he gets stung by a substitution before the 60-minute mark, I don't think that's necessarily something to be too concerned about. So Martinelli to Odegaard, yes, I'd do that transfer.
Lock that in.
Yeah.
As long as he's okay, obviously. That knock doesn't, But as long as that knock is fine, then we're saying lock that in. definitely.
Yeah, but beyond that, I don't know if I'd make either of the other transfers. Yeah, it'd be nice to get a City midfielder in for this week, but I wouldn't sell a United midfielder to get one of them in.
No. I'd also be, I'd potentially be more interested in moving maybe one of my other defenders on, knowing that we've got, you know, double game weeks down the line, so could maybe Patson become a Wolves defender now, so that you already have that kind of potentially sorted. But
yeah, I think the hope is that Patterson is back for 25.
Well, I
But
have him, so I'm kind of hoping for that. It's just whether he'll come in and then play 90 minutes is a kind of, doubt it. But that said, I quite like what Holly's saying here, because if you just do Martinelli to Odegaard, you've got Saka already. I mean, for me, rolling an extra transfer into next week with more information is going to be more valuable, right, Holly, than potentially doing the whole Fernandes De Bruyne thing. Look, let's be completely honest here. De Bruyne, when it's his day, it's his day. The guy can be on fire. But kind of weighing up Fernandes against Leeds, which we'll hopefully get a really good look at tonight, which might help. So it'll be quite interesting, I think. If he blanks, I think there'll be a lot of people that'll do Fernandes to De Bruyne, but it'll be very interesting if he does something. What that's going to do for his confidence, again, going into the weekend, will be massive as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think you could lose him then if he gets an attacking return tonight. Okay. Yep, I'm pretty cool with that. Right, who do we have next up? I'm seeing loads of regular faces in the chat. Hey James, hey Dread, hope you're all good. Okay, very kind of Pretty Sports, 2 of the best in the game will be tuning in. Neil, another regular here. With the new doubles announced in Game Week 25 and the fact Pep is rotating more than ever, is it worth rolling a transfer this week and going with Haaland only to help plan for covering blank and double Game Week 25? If not, who is the best City midfielder to go for this week, excluding KDB? Thanks. So I'm assuming there's a budget issue there.
Yeah, so as we've already mentioned, a triple up on City is, far from essential this week, especially given the more recent news we've had. So rolling a transfer is a very luxury place to be, but I think it could be viable for a lot of managers, especially those that are reasonably happy with the Arsenal triple up that they've got already and who they own from City, especially because a lot of the players in the fringes of our squads have such good fixtures this week that you could be using a transfer to give yourself more of a benching headache than you would have had already. So I think it's fine just to go with Haaland. I mean, it's going to be a bit scary, granted. But, Villa are a very good side. Arsenal's going to be a huge fixture, which is very difficult to call at the moment. I think if he was going with anyone, it would be Mahrez that I would go for. But it depends who you're selling.
I have Mahrez in my team, and I have to admit when KDB got benched and Mahrez started, because I did make that switch that we were talking about last week, there was a bit of me that thought, oh my word, what have I done? I tipped my hat here. I've got this one completely right. So when Mahrez just happened to slide off at 50 whatever minutes for his 1 point, and KDB wandered on for his 1 point, I was just like, oh right, okay, that's my luck. But it's good to hear you saying you think Mahrez is probably the one to go for. I quite like Grealish as a bit of an out there, punt, and I whether I'd condone it massively though, I'm not sure, but minutes wise he seems a bit more nailed on than some of the others, so I wouldn't hate on it. What happens if Foden is okay this week though? Would that risk minutes with Grealish? I'm not sure. it would be scary to go without, but I can't hate on doing that because of just everything else it would get you in future weeks, Neil. I also don't mind the Mahrez punt though, if you feel like it would just be too scary to go without. So that's my thoughts on that one. Okay, a Trevo. Hello, Nim and Holly. With the doubles in Game Week 25 being announced yesterday, if you had a choice of transferring in a Wolves attacker, mid or forward, this game week itself, which player would you choose? Thanks in advance. That's a nice different question. A Wolves player, midfielder or attacker? Now this one's a bit tougher, I feel.
Yeah, I think, I don't know.
You're the Wolves correspondent there, Holly.
It's slim pickings, if I'm honest, in terms of their attacking assets right now, because they're just not scoring enough goals still. But the fixtures are there. Like, you could easily get on board them this week with Southampton and Bournemouth next before the double in 25. I think Mateus in midfield is probably the best of their assets. The problem is our forward lines are stacked. Sorry, our midfield positions are stacked with such great options right now that feels like a waste of a midfield space. I think if you really fancy Wolves in the double, then bring in an asset for the double. But I think in the short term, I would look at other options. And I guess the appeal of Wolves assets will become clearer when we know if they blank or not in game week 28, because I think they're among one of the sides where it's a 50-50.
Yeah. I don't like it this week. Like yourself, I'm not feeling it this week. I would hold on a bit, wait it out a bit, and wait and see what's going to happen with some of these fixtures, and just keep your eyes on Wolves and see if anyone takes your fancy. But I wouldn't do it this week. I mean, I guess maybe he has somebody like a Martial or maybe somebody like that he knows he definitely has to move on, which I'd be more tempted to take a punt on somebody a bit kind of more short term, and then almost take the hit closer to the time when you know who it is you actually want, than loading up now and not really knowing. Okay, we have Focus. 2 free transfers and 2.3 million in the bank. Martial broke my heart, and Pep can shove that roulette where the sun don't shine. So, can we help out old Focus here? That's a nice chunk of money in the bank. Got De Bruyne. I'm assuming. Yeah, this is tough because he doesn't have his 3 Arsenal. So, there's no Arsenal defender here. But you've got Saka and Odegaard already. I think I'd be a little bit tempted to do Martial to Nketiah, right, Holly?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think so. I think like this is what the one that we said with Nketiah is a little bit team dependent. You need 3 Arsenal, so you either need to buy Gabriel or Nketiah. So kind of with Bueno and Patterson sat there potentially as double game week assets for 25 if they're fit, and a first choice. And Marshall to Nketiah looks on because it solves another problem as well. And I know we've said Nketiah should get rotated with Jesus down the line. There's no reason to say Jesus comes in straight away, and certainly through 23 and 25 I think you'll be safe with Nketiah anyway.
Yeah, and even when he does come in, I don't think it's going to be a case of right, Jesus, starting spot, go. I think it will be Nketiah starts, Jesus comes on. At that point, that's when you need to start thinking, okay, now I need to think of a replacement for Nketiah. But until that happens, I don't think you need to worry yet. So, it's either that or going Martinelli for Bailly if you can get to him, but which I don't hate actually, because there'll be a lot of people moving off of Martinelli, but I prefer the Martial to Nketiah this week focus, and then I just roll on a transfer because there's a lot of stuff to come. So you're in a really nice position there, and you know, it'd be nice when we both own him and Holly, obviously, and he's ringing Nonna up, so that'd be be good. But it does solve your problem with Martial, and having 2 transfers means that if at any point he gets, you know, he starts getting rotated, then you've got the transfers there to sort it out, you know, and then you can think about downgrading that spot to a 4.5 maybe, and, you know, investing maybe to 5 in midfield. Although I have noticed you don't have any Bruno, but I don't think you can get to him easily. So yeah, I think that would probably be that'd be my moves for you, buddy. Okay, there's 39 of you watching. If you would be so kind, please do smash a like on the stream and subscribe if you don't already. Hit that little notification bell and you'll know when we're going live again. Holly is not here next week, I believe, but I do have a stand-in, so that'll be a nice surprise to have somebody coming in quite revered in the community, so make sure you come and check that out next week. But do check out Holly's channel as well whilst you're at the liking and subscribing because it all helps. Okay, are we all up to all the questions on here? Let me just double check none have come in before I then go to the chat. Okay, AAK here says he has 0.1 in the bank. Did he give a previous question to us? Or
yes, it was.
You got it?
Wildcard. He's on a wildcard, I think. Transfers are. He's done KDB in for Bruno, Odegaard in for Martinelli, Bailey in for Almiron, James in for Botman, Tarkowski in for Bueno, Kepa in for De Gea. What do we think?
Okay. Shall I pull the team up? Be easier to see it, wouldn't it, than looking at the images?
Yeah, and he said 0.1 million in the bank.
So it's tight.
Yeah, which I was about to say I would own Gabriel over White, but I guess funds are a big issue there. Looking there, Haaland, Kane, De Bruyne are hogging quite a bit of the budget. So I mean, it's tricky to get this in under budget. I think Reece James, while he's a nice player to own,
he's expensive.
He is expensive. I think it's okay to double up on the Chelsea defence, but maybe go with Badiashile, who's 5 million. I think James is nearer 6, if I'm right. Yeah. That could save you some funds. Obviously, Tarkowski is basically as cheap as they come. Forster is nice and cheap as well. Having Mahrez over De Bruyne would unlock some crucial funds though as well, which is something to consider in there. And maybe it depends. It could help you to upgrade Leon Bailey in particular, or even be in that situation where you have 8 strong attackers, so that if Nketiah does lose his spot sometime, you can deal with that as well. But, you know, Kane and Haaland are really good picks in there. You've got the triple Arsenal, which is setting you well up for double game week 25. Tarkowski is in as well, which is probably the only Everton asset you can go with at the moment. I think it's too early for Wolves or Liverpool players. So, yeah, I think De Bruyne to Mahrez will unlock a lot of funds, but obviously it would block an easy route to Salah if you wanted him for 25.
Yeah, that's the sting, isn't it? And the tail with that one is that it does leave you a bit of an issue for Salah if you wanted him. I mean, we haven't really talked about whether we're considering him yet. So, Holly, are you considering Salah for the double at the moment? Is it in your head to panic about getting him in?
At the moment, if the double game week 25 deadline was tomorrow, I wouldn't have any Liverpool players in there at all.
That's interesting.
But if we was to see Klopp drop Darwin Núñez, and that could happen particularly with the likes of, is it Firmino and Virgil van Dijk should be back in training very soon.
And Jota actually is quite close.
Jota was close.
Yeah.
So if we see that come to fruition, then, you know, I could get more interested in Liverpool players, because we saw a period in like October where Salah was central, Darwin was on the wing, and Salah performed really well. Granted, Liverpool were playing a lot better at the time. But my concern is this double game week for Liverpool is only 2 weeks away. So even with those players coming back in, like, how fit are they going to be to play, 90 minutes by that point to seriously improve the Liverpool side? Especially with like games in quick succession and, Champions League back and things like that. Because like, what is Klopp playing for now? Like, they're 10th in the league. They're way off. They're 11 points off 4th as things stand. They've got a game in hand, but, Champions League could become like Klopp's main focus because he's having a disastrous season. Is the Premier League going to be his focus right now or not?
Yeah. It's just so hard to know what to do with those guys, isn't it? Because it's the knowledge of knowing how good they can be from previous seasons and how good Salah can be when he's on it. But if this was any other like if we were looking at who could I even put in there? If we seen Bournemouth with that double game week, would we be running to Bournemouth assets? Like, let's just say one of those Bournemouth assets had previously great season and they cost way more than they do now. Would we really be considering it? I think it's because we know what Liverpool can be capable of, but they haven't been capable of it this season, and I'm very much a form manager, so I'd like to sit here now and say I won't do it. I won't get Salah in because he's been terrible. But I know when that double game week comes around, I'll be like, how many players can I move to get Salah in my team?
I haven't looked at like captaincy for that week yet either, because that
well, I think
Saka
will probably be well up there potentially as a captaincy option. One of the Arsenal lads probably will be fairly well captained, I would have thought. So,
and Haaland plays Bournemouth as well.
Yeah, in a single fixture, and he can easily score a hat-trick there. So I don't think he's going to be... If we were getting him in and we were captaining just like that, it'd be a different story because there's nobody else to captain. But I think there'll be other options personally. If I was on a wild card right now, though, I have to admit, AAK, the Rick Staker, I would be on Saka and Odegaard. I don't think I'd be on Nketiah. The reason I say that is just long term. I like the short term punt of Nketiah, but if I was wildcarding right now, I'd much rather be 5-man midfield than 3 up top, because I don't know.
It depends if he's got a bench boost though, because 3-5-2 does essentially give you a problem when you want a bench boost. I think that's probably why he's gone 3-4-3.
Yeah, true. You could always go for somebody maybe like a Nonto though, that are 5 million, that isn't massively kind of expensive. It's only 0.5 more than I guess than a Greenwood, and would potentially give you some options. Okay, did we have any others that kind of rolled in before I go to the... No, I think that was it potentially. Let me check the notifications. No, I think we're all up to date. Cool. Right, I'll move on to the chat then, and say hello to everyone. And we have a fair few here. So bear with me while I just kind of sift through them. Okay, FPL Fella's got one here that isn't anything to do with the game week, which is quite good. But he says, if you could have any shirt in the background, what would it be?
That is a tough one.
I love the Arsenal black and gold shirt from this season personally, so I'd probably have that. I should wear it more on stream, but I don't. But yeah, I think I'm just too scared to curse it. Maybe next season, if we win, I'll just wear it every stream.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with a classic England shirt from the 90s.
Nice. I'm Welsh, so so maybe a Gareth Bale shirt. Okay. Wayne asks, start Big Dan Burn versus Bournemouth or Shaw versus Leeds. Obviously have Trippier. Would love to hear your options. Thanks.
So I would go with Dan Burn because Newcastle have got the better clean sheet chances in the fixture. And, you know, Leeds away is not an easy place for United to go. I fancy Leeds to score in that fixture, especially if they've got a new manager bounce.
Yeah. Just, oh my God, just looking at that record, man, for Newcastle defence is just crazy, isn't it? I was just kind of scrolling through that to bring it up. But yeah, I think I'd probably go on the double up there too. Galfellas has either taken a -4 or a -8. Love it. Love the batches all around here. He needs to decide whether to take a hit in 28 or 29 and then go from there. Remember, having information trumps most things, so that's what I would say in that respect. Okay, AAK, hopefully we've answered your question. Why I think Arsenal fixture for double game week 23 hard. Brentford and City, a few goals can be scored. Yeah, I feel like there'll be lots of clean sheets there. Kirk says no Casemiro, no clean sheet. That's also interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they do tonight without him. So hey Dizzy and James.
I'm looking forward to the points that are going to come tonight. You know when you're on a green arrow and you think something really bad would have to happen.
Yeah.
For that green arrow not to, by the end of the game week.
A non-toe hat trick. When everyone around you has him. Are you? Oh yeah, because you use your triple get for Haaland, right? So I'm still triple Rashford, so I'm really hoping for some extra points tonight.
Because you've got Bruno as well, yeah?
Yeah.
How did you feel about Bruno taking the pen? Like, I thought it was a good thing because, Bruno's quite low owned anyway, and Rashford got the assist points anyway. Were you disappointed to not see Rashford take the pen, or?
No, I mean, I think we discussed it last week that we felt that Bruno would be on penalties. So I think getting him in was almost more of a priority, knowing that. So the fact that he did get it, I prefer, as you say, with him being low owned, that he did get the goal and therefore got me some kind of differential points than him having not got anything. I think is probably where I'd lie on that one, though. Yeah, I mean, because I can't moan at a goal and an assist at the moment, can I really? No. For my triple captain, so yeah, I'm okay with those shared points.
Have you had a lot of luck with the triple captain in the past?
Yeah, I've not been too bad, if I'm completely honest. That it tends to go okay for me, and I think there was only one season where I had a bit of a clanger, and it was. Who was it? It was a City player. Doesn't play for them anymore. I can't remember his name.
Sane.
Yes, yeah. I think I triple captained him, and he did the whole wandering off early. with an
Yeah,
injury.
I think he missed the first game and then got subbed on 59 minutes on the second.
Yeah, I did that one, and I was very close to doing the Mane triple captain, which was the year after that a lot of people did, and he got that red card, didn't he? In the first game.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't do that one. So no, it's actually gone okay for me so far. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed tonight is okay. But my only feeling at the moment is that the reason I'm on a green arrow is more or less because of Rashford rather than the rest of my team doing particularly brilliantly, which is a concern really, because I kind of wanted the triple captainship to be something on top of, you know, a good game week score, rather than it just keeping me, I don't want to say keeping me with the pack, because I haven't got a red arrow at the moment, or I'm just leveling or anything like that. I do have a green arrow, but I mean in the fact that there are a lot of people who haven't triple captained like yourself and are still on quite a nice green arrow this week. So that's what I mean when I say, you know, it's kind of kept me with the pack. James says, I've got Bruno and KDB. Is it worth spending on Martinelli to Saka or spend on Bruno to Salah in the double, keeping Martinelli and have the extra Salah instead of blanky Bruno? So I'm in a similar spot here. If I go Odegaard, I stand a chance, and I say this marginally, I stand a chance of being able to do Bruno to Salah for the blank. I think I'll have like 0.1, 0.2 in the bank to play with, so it'll be incredibly close whether I got to double game week 25 and was able to just switch Salah in for, you know, one transfer. I'd highly doubt it with the way that the prices are this season. So I'm in a very similar spot here. Going up Odegaard does give me that extra playing room that would allow me to get to Salah more easily. And then I guess this comes back to what we were discussing earlier, Holly. Is Salah worth it? I mean, if some of us can go to an Odegaard this week, barring any injuries, and I will keep saying that because he didn't look right for the rest of that match. So I really do want some news from Arteta before going there. Would you go for Odegaard knowing that you could do an easy switch to Salah for that double, Holly, even though we've said we wouldn't go for him?
Well, I'm guessing because James has said Saka for a -4, he potentially already owns Odegaard.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
And in my eyes, Arsenal have got 5 fixtures in the next 3. They need to be top priority rather than leaving the door open because you might want Salah in a couple of weeks' time. I think it'd probably be better not having those funds there, and then you're not going to make a silly decision getting Salah just out of FOMO, because you'll have to really think about, do you really want to rip up your whole team?
Yeah, I was just actually wondering. So I think that would leave. Sure. How much is Salah these days? Has he even dropped in price? 12.7. So actually, no, it's the other way around for me. Actually, just going to Odegaard would leave me the little bit of extra cash enough for Salah. Going for Saka would actually price me out completely.
Right.
So, yeah. I would do Martinelli to Saka, and I think I would worry about the Bruno situation down the line, like Holly said. Especially if you do have Odegaard already. It's a bit tougher for me deciding which one to go for, because as sure as God made little green apples, I will choose the wrong one. So do you have Martinelli still, Holly?
Yeah. So I'm looking to switch to Odegaard this week.
Odegaard, you're not tempted by Saka?
I don't think I can get to Saka as easily, but I do prefer Odegaard anyway.
Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Fella did say, don't forget if you're on triple attack and Arsenal get a clean sheet, you get 2 extra points. Ben White's ceiling is quite low. At most, you lose out on 2 points. Yeah, that's a good point. If you are then hoping your attackers score, obviously, I suppose. Neil says Bruno's record against Leeds is ridiculously good. Hold up for Game Week 24 for me.
Yeah, gotta agree with that.
James says, White out for Tarkowski and Tony out for Nketiah free this week. Have Martinelli and Odegaard already. The money I save is for Salah's double.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tricky, isn't it, switching around all these Arsenal players. I do just think it's got to be done. I think that's the way you've got to go. I think that's got to be top priority now.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite like if you can go to the 3 attack easily, which you can. Then if it helps you down the line potentially to get Salah as well, if he shows some form, then great. I'm not sure about selling Tony though. That is the only. Who do Brentford have? So I'm not. They have Arsenal. So they just have Arsenal. So yeah. But then again, we haven't been great defensively. See, this is the thing. When people see Arsenal at the moment, they kind of go, "Oh, it's a difficult fixture for teams." But we haven't been brilliant in defence, right? So don't just lose a player against Arsenal because you feel they won't score against them. I mean, Tony scored against Arsenal plenty of times. So it's really just if you're going to get the extra fixture, which you are, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best situation. But yeah, clean sheets are few and far between, and usually against weird teams like Tottenham and Newcastle as well. So could end up being a clean sheet against Man City.
Yeah.
It's really the big games where we tend to step up, I find, and kind of like defensively try and kind of, I think the kind of lower games like Brentford, I can see us going like pretty attacking and therefore leaving the door open for goals to be scored behind us.
Yeah.
So where are we at? How are we doing for time? Okay, we've got 5 more minutes, so let's just eke down a little bit. Polish here says, hey ladies, like your view on sticking with Fernandez. I've been tempted to swap him back to KDB. I have Lewis and Haaland, plus I'm not playing Pep Roulette. That is the other thing, isn't it? It's just that playing Pep Roulette this season has been really quite like damaging to a lot of teams. So, you know, like it's really taking a punt and hoping that your player starts and does well with them. For me, see, I could get KDB this week from -4 by selling Bruno and losing Aki.
Right.
But I'm just not sure about selling Bruno. And you'd like to think he's going to start, whereas you just don't know with KDB. I mean, they have Champions League next week, so he might start, but he could still come off early and be saved for some of those Champions League matches. It's a mess, isn't it, Holly? Let's just say we are trying our best here, people. Patrick says Mahrez or KDB. I think we've kind of answered that. Holly said Mahrez. Because I have Mahrez, I'd probably say KDB. But that's only because I got burned by Mahrez last week. But I would think in that instance, if you can find a value for the money, so as in if the money can go somewhere else by buying Mahrez this week, then I would go for Mahrez. Otherwise, if you feel that you're going to want Salah for the double game week, then KDB is obviously an easier hop along. So we've got one quick question about the free hit. Is a free hit the best option for game week 25?
I mean, now it's a blank and a double, potentially, because you look, the fixtures on paper look really good for the teams that are double. And, you know, the Rashford and Bruno Fernandes and Trippier look like great long-term holds. And again, Newcastle assets, because they double in, because they've got a fixture in 28 as well, which is the blank. They also look good. So it is difficult deciding which ones to own and whether to free hit. I think I'm going to try and find a way to save mine now until later in the season personally, but I can understand why others might want to be taking a different approach.
Yeah, so at the moment I've only got Rashford, Bruno, Shaw, and I think Trippier. So they're my 4. So technically I only really need to lose 1 and I'll be okay for 25, of which Bruno to somebody feels potentially the most natural move there. If I can save up a transfer in game week 24, there's even the potential maybe to hop off and hop back on again if I really wanted to. But as we were saying last week, United, you could consider selling a few assets by that point anyway. So for myself, I don't think it's the best option, because it feels a bit mad when I'd only need to really make 1 transfer, or could maybe potentially easily navigate as things stand, obviously without any large injuries or anything cropping up, with a -4. So in that respect, I think not for myself. And this is where it's so team dependent, isn't it, Holly? Because if you have a lot of Brighton in your team or a lot of Newcastle in your team, and you feel like there's just no way you're going to be able to cover it by the time you get there, given all these doubles and stuff that have cropped up, now and now in 25, then if it's going to get you through, then there's no reason why you shouldn't use a chip that's going to help you. If you're going to be like 7 blank players and have like 2 doublers or 1 doubler, which I don't think that will be the case. I think most people will have 3 Arsenal, and most people will have City. So I don't think that will be the case, but I think there will be better opportunities potentially for the chip down the line. Okay, just want to touch on this one then, Holly, and then this will be the last one. Just because this is potentially quite an interesting conversation for us to have, both owning him ourselves. I plan to get Kane into my team, says Andrew, but it probably means benching Mitoma, prioritise double game week and United players. So Kane has come into question a little bit now with the double game weeks ahead. Do we need him? Could we sell him to free up cash? Where are you standing on all of this? Because both of us last week were like, Kane is a season keeper.
Yeah.
But if it's the difference, say Salah scores 2 goals this week, if it's the difference between us having Salah in our team and not having Salah in our team for the double game week, where do you lie on that?
Still Kane. I mean, he's having his best ever season in FPL, and the only reason we all haven't got Kane in our squads is because Haaland has, produced the best FPL season on record so far. So yeah, Kane's an absolute lock in my team now, and I don't think I'm going to get swayed by Salah. If I really want to invest in Liverpool for the double, it's because they've got other players back, and it may mean that there's another player that can become an option. But yeah, Salah, just not worth it. You look at what Odegaard's producing at under 7 million, and then you look at Salah, it's just not comparable.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't believe I'm saying it because, I mean, thank you so much, Kane, by the way. if you happen to be watching this, Arsenal thanks you. But yes, I was celebrating both for my FPL team and for Arsenal on the weekend by having him, and he's just so consistent, right? So the things you can rely on in life, death, taxes, and Harry Kane. So I think this season he has just been so consistent, and it is tough chasing the doubles and not chasing the doubles, because I know a lot of people will be considering a switch to Darwin for that particular week. I guess for me, I'll only consider it if I know I can go straight back to Kane afterwards. So that is the only time I think I'll consider that switch, is if I know that if I get Darwin in for a double game week punt, that I'm happy with that, to lose out on whatever Kane is going to do that week. Actually, who do Spurs have on that game week 25? Chelsea. So it's not, it's not going to be the easiest fixture necessarily, potentially, given how well Chelsea have been in defence. So I guess maybe if you can roll a transfer here now and you just don't want Salah, but you do want to take a bit of a punt maybe on somebody for the double, and maybe switcheroo, Kane to Darwin and back again. But that's something we can chat a little bit more about closer to the time. That said, our question about getting him in this week and benching Matoma, what do we feel about that?
I think it's okay to bench Matoma this week. I think it's fine. Kane superior in terms of, plays Leicester this week, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Favourite team.
I'm hoping that he does the business this week for sure, because I feel like a lot of people will be, selling him the next couple of weeks with doubles coming up, and I am hoping this is where maybe he can be a little bit more of a differential than he has been previously for us. So yeah. I maybe stand a little bit less decisive as Holly was there, because Matoma has been so great recently and he is in such form, it is tough to drop him. But if it does mean that you can get Kane this week and you want him, then for me, I'd go back to trumping percentage owned. So Kane is going to be much higher owned than Matoma is, I'm assuming. So if you can get Kane in and cover him, then that's probably the better option. Though please don't come back here and cry when Matoma scores a hat-trick and Kane has his first blank against Leicester in X amount of years. Cool. Okay, guys, we will wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for joining us. Sorry about the technical hitch there at the beginning. Please do go check out Holly on all of her places. Holly, where can everyone find you?
So my YouTube channel is at Holly SHAND.
Yeah, and the link is in the description below, guys. Please do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. We will have a Q&A again this time next Wednesday with a special guest. I'm going to give it away. It is a he, and they are quite revered and have some very good previous seasons behind them. So do come and check that out next Wednesday at the same time. But until then, I will say Nymphria out. Bye, guys.